Welcome to the Unstuck Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Miner. This weekly no-fluff mindset show arms you with the practical tools you need to get unstuck so you can get exactly what you want out of life. Remember, when you change your mind, your life will follow. Let's get into today's episode. Hey there, friends. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Unstuck. Today, I'm getting personal. I'm sharing one of my very own stories about manifestation. I have a lot of them. I have quite a few, definitely different areas of my life that have manifested what I wanted. And I've shared a little bit about my personal journey, mostly when it comes to my healing journey and getting my health back by way of my mindset and spirituality and energy and vibration. Talk about that quite a bit here, but now I want to go into another aspect of my life that just randomly kind of came to me that I should probably share because I think it would be a good story for everyone. I was taking a photo, actually I think it was a video, I can't remember which one, over on my Instagram stories of the sunset that I was seeing out of my condo window or on the balcony the other night. It was a beautiful sunset, and it hit me. First of all, every time I look out the window, I remind myself of that manifestation of this story that I'm about to tell. It just constantly is on my mind because I look out the window and I see the manifestation in my physical experience all the time. And so as I was taking that video or picture, I thought, hey, maybe I should share this with everyone. Maybe that's something that people want to hear about. So of course, I polled over on my stories. I asked you guys if you wanted to hear this, and you did. So I think 98% of people did. Of course, there's always like 2 or 3 people that have to vote in the opposite direction just to make it not 100%. There's just those people. We all know who those are, but they're probably not listening to this podcast anyways. So I think all of you that tune in want to hear how this happened for me, how I was able to land my dream condo with my dream view and dream kitchen and dream, like literally everything matching up with what I wanted. How was I able to do that? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Just a quick reminder, this is your last chance. I'm making this the last call for the next 6 months, so until the fall, for you to be a part of the Unstuck Collective monthly group mindset membership. If you would like to get involved and be part of a community, be part of this group where we are just going to take this to the next level. We're going to have weekly kind of focuses, weekly things we're working on. We're going to have a community where we can chat about this kind of stuff all day, every day if we want to. We're going to meet once a month and do some extra stuff, some energy work, energy healing. We're going to do some kind of hot seat where I take one person and dive into their mindset and their practices and what I can help them with, a little bit of coaching there, Q&A, all that good stuff. I actually even recorded my first ever meditation for the group over there. That was so fun. I've been doing meditation myself for so many years and have since gotten certified to teach it, to instruct it. And so I just hadn't ever really done that much with it until now. And I thought this was the perfect opportunity to bring that out. So they will be getting that meditation. You will get a new meditation once a month, focusing on all different kinds of meditations and different things that we can do in that state to heal our bodies, our minds, our souls, our spirits. We can just feel really good with a little bit of meditation. So anyway, if that is something that you are interested in, now is the time. The doors are closing tomorrow. If you're listening to this when it airs, April 1st, doors close, and we will not be taking new members until September of 2020. So this is your chance. Remember, it is completely up to you how long you are a member. It could be for a month or two while we're kind of getting through this strange, scary, unknown time in our existence. You could just do that. Have a little extra support during this time, or you can stay for a year, 5 years, or 10 years, however long this thing lasts. You can do whatever you want. It's completely up to you. So head to SeanMiner.com/collective if you would like to be a part of this monthly mindset membership community. We already have the most amazing group of women over there. Just the most positive, high vibe people you will ever want to be around. If you'd like to join us, head to SeanMiner.com/collective. All right, let's get into this story about how I manifested my dream home. Now, I want to start by reminding you all of the steps to manifestation. I went over them in episode 4. I would highly recommend, if you haven't listened to that episode yet, or you can't remember it, to go back and listen to that after this episode. You can listen to this first, but then go back and listen to that one too, because why I want to lay out these steps before I even get into my story, and then I want you to go back and listen to that episode, is you're going to see how this works. You'll be able to apply the steps and see that in my story, and then perhaps see it in your story too. So just quickly, let's go over the steps. Really, there's only 3. The first step is you have to want something. There is something that you want, and oftentimes that thing that you want comes about because of something else in your life, some other experience that you don't want. So then it's almost like you have something that comes up that you dislike, you don't want, and it brings around the idea of a desire. It brings up this vision of what you do want. So first you have to want something, and yes, it may come from something else in your life right now that is not ideal. The second thing, you get into alignment with what you want. That means the definition of this in my world, and for the case of the Unstuck podcast, you raise your vibration to be a match for what you want, which, put another way, means you let go of resistance around what you want. And this is where a lot of us get hung up, and we don't even realize there's something that we want, but we still have a story about how we can't have that thing. We don't deserve that thing. That's not possible. That's way too much for me. That costs too much. That means too much. That's too much work. The stories, right? We go over the stories a lot here on Unstuck. So I think you understand what those stories are, which are really just limiting beliefs. Those get in your way. And if those are in your way, if you're still carrying around those stories, then you can kind of think of them as these like little weights that are bringing down your vibration, no matter how hard you try to get it up to where you are a match for what you want, where you're feeling these high vibe emotions most of the time. And you're in alignment with how it would feel for you to have that thing that you now want. Those are obviously whatever thing you want. When you have that, that's going to feel pretty awesome, right? We're going to feel really good. We're going to feel happy and joyful and at peace and secure, all these high vibe emotions. So we have to get up there. But then when we have those stories, it's like this weight that lowers your vibration. It keeps that emotion from actually being able to flourish within you. So we let go of the resistance, which means we have to kind of dig through our stories and release those. And then we can raise our vibration through our emotions to be a match for what we want. And really, if we really think about this, what this all means this second step is that you get out of your own way. You get out of your own way and you let the power of the universe take over and guide you effortlessly towards what you desire. So you get out of your own way. And then that leads us to the third step of manifestation, which is you follow those signs from universal intelligence that lead you down the path to what you want, to that thing, to your thing. This means that you are trusting your intuition. You are noticing the synchronicities and the coincidences. Those are in air quotes. Those are the signs. You're noticing when you're not in alignment also, which those are going to be those kind of negative, low vibe emotions. Because really all that is, when you have a negative emotion, all that is a sign that you are going against the current. You're going against the universal intelligence. You're going against that path to get you to what you want. That's all negative emotion is. Okay, so when we can see that, we can kind of do a little shifting, which requires mindset work, which we're doing here. We've done here. We know those tools that we can use now to shift into a better feeling place, get back into alignment, trust, notice, feel, have all the good vibes, and get back on that path toward what you want. So those are the three basic steps. Again, go back and listen to episode 4 if you want to get into that in more detail. Of course, in the Unstuck Collective, this will be one of the main things that we are focusing on. We are doing this together. This whole process, everything I just talked about, that is a huge focus in the group. So you can head over and be a part of that if you'd like to work on this together. Here's how it went for me, specifically when it comes to my home. Again, like I said, I have lots of other stories like this, but we're focusing on just this one today. If I look back now, this all started back in 2013. I was a personal trainer, had just started my own business, was barely making ends meet. And really, even that is a little generous, I think. But anyway, I had a new client and she asked me to train her in her condo complex's gym, which I was more than happy to do. So we began doing that. And then later, I also dog sat for her a few times. So I got to know the condo unit very well, the condo complex very well. And I really loved it. I remember she was moving away. It was her last session and we were standing outside just kind of chatting. And I remember saying to her, I would love to live here someday. And that was it. I just made that declaration. I had loved the place. I loved the gym, everything about it. And I really wanted to live there someday. At the time, it was not at all within my financial means. It didn't make sense to my life at all, but I put that out there. And then once I put that out there, I left it. I didn't really think much of it, except I remember every time I would drive by that condo complex, I would remember that conversation. And I would think to myself again, I really want to live there. I want to live there. I want to live there. And I would feel, really almost excited. There was no resistance. There was nothing to it like, oh, that could never happen. I just really wanted to live there. And I remember thinking that and then letting it go and not thinking about it much beyond, that conversation or as I was driving by, that was it. So fast forward, that was 2013, 5 years before I moved in to my condo. Okay, so this is 5 years in the making. Fast forward now to 2016, 2017-ish timeframe. I moved in to a brand new apartment. This was kind of in that time where I was desperate to find a place to live that was not moldy. I had moved to 2 different places. They both had mold and they were both keeping me sick. This was my 3rd attempt to find a place to live, and I loved it. But I think it's important to share that when I found that apartment, I had no idea how I was going to pay for it. I could not afford it. It was like double the amount of rent I was ever used to paying, but I needed a safe place to get well, and that was the only one I could find on such short notice, and that was just for me, and that had everything I needed. So I just did it, and I just knew that some way, somehow, I was going to be able to pay that rent. I didn't think twice of it. I just knew it was going to happen because that's what I needed. Like, I trusted with everything I knew that even though I had no idea how I was going to pay for that and how I was going to increase my monthly income to be able to pay for that, I just knew. So there's a little side story for you, but I think it also kind of plays into this too, because living in that place showed me what I didn't want, which then made me have a deeper desire for what I did want. And we just went over, that's really how step one comes about. Something in your experience brings about a desire. And so that is how this all plays into it. This place needed to happen. And so I needed to move in, even though I didn't know how I was going to pay for it. I needed this as part of my path to what I wanted. Loved that apartment. I will always have such fond memories of that place because it really was my healing sanctuary. It was where I went from so sick to totally well. The only thing, really there were two things that I did not love about this place. Well, actually, I mean, it was an apartment, so there were a lot of things that weren't great, but there were two specific things that I remember not loving. First of all, the most important, I could not see the sky. I was on the first floor. There was a small kind of like neighborhood type street in between to the next building. So all I saw was brick and windows of the next building over. I had no view of the sky, and I am someone who loves weather and loves sunsets. Those are two of my absolute favorite things. I love watching weather come in and the change in weather, the clouds forming. I love it. And of course, sunsets. Who doesn't love a good sunset? But one of my favorite activities is to watch a sunset because just the colors change every second, and I find it so fascinating. But I couldn't do that there. And I didn't even know how much I wanted that until it was taken away from me and I couldn't do those things. So that was first thing. Second thing, it was so dark in the kitchen that I had to turn a light on every time I went into the kitchen to fix a snack or to make a meal. Even if it was the middle of the day, bright sunny sky, I would still have to turn on the light, and I didn't like that either. I love natural, bright light. I love bright places to live. So those were the two things that really stuck out to me. And it was something that then fueled this desire for my next home. I wanted it to be bright and I wanted it to have a view. That is what I knew based on this experience. It's not like I had any negativity towards my current situation. I wasn't frustrated or annoyed or mad or anything like that, but I did have these really excited feelings about my next home and how different it would be. I was so looking forward to having something different, having these things not there anymore. So it's not like I was ruminating or even thinking about what wasn't. I was just looking forward to what was to come. And that's a really big difference here. And this is what made it work so quickly and smoothly for me, is because I had zero resistance to this thing. So then it got to the point where I was visualizing this new place. I would go on walks pretty much every night around the time of the sunset so that I could see the sky. I was just making it happen. Since I couldn't see it from my home, I would just go on walks. I would look at the sky. And then it got to the point where when I was on those walks, I would visualize my new place and being able to see that sky from my window, from wherever I was in my home. It was like this unobstructed view. There were mountains, which is really interesting actually to point out because most people, they want a view of the mountains. I live in Boulder. It's a very coveted view. There's actually not that many homes that have an unobstructed view of the mountains here anymore. So it was something that most people dream of. But for me, it was the sky, and it just happened to include the mountains because I wanted to see the weather, and the weather usually comes from west to east. So the mountains are towards the west. So to see the weather, most of the time you look towards the mountains. So it's just a really funny kind of side note, doesn't have anything to do with this story, but just interesting that I just wanted to see the sky, and it happened to include these gorgeous, highly coveted mountain views as well. But anyway, I got super clear. Like the more walks I took, the clearer and clearer my new place got. I was seeing the kitchen that was super bright. I was seeing the whole house being lit up by natural light. I was seeing this view that was gorgeous and the sunsets that would come out of it. It got really super clear and still was met with zero resistance towards me. Like never did I think, oh, I'm not going to be able to have this. I can't find a place that has this. There's no such thing. I can't afford that. Never did any of that come up. And I think it was really because of all of the mindset work. I was spending most of my day doing mindset work at that point. So I really was in deep alignment with myself and my intuition and my inner guidance and the universe to know that none of that was true. That's the only thing that I can use to explain why I had zero stories going through my head about this situation. Now we move on to a few months out from when I need to move. My lease is going to be up in a few months. I'm starting to kind of think about where I want to go, what I want to do, thinking I'll probably try to rent again, but maybe somewhere closer into the town center, somewhere with a more convenient location. I'm just kind of starting to brainstorm. And I happened to go to lunch with my friend Allie. We've been friends for a while. We basically talk business and or mindset. She's very much into the same kind of things that I am. It's one of my few friends that I can talk openly about all of this stuff with. And so we're just chatting about that at lunch. And then at the end of lunch, we're walking to our cars. The housing situation, my situation of needing to move and not knowing what I wanted to do and where I wanted to live hadn't come up at all. We didn't talk about it at all. So at the end of our conversation, she says, oh, hey, by the way, Ben, her husband, asked me to ask you if you would mind if he contacted you sometime about going to see some condos. He just sold a condo in the condo complex where I now live. He just sold a condo there, and the whole time he was thinking about how much he thinks you would love it there. So again, hadn't told her about any of this. Definitely she didn't know what I had said 5 years ago. None of that. She didn't even know I needed to move or that it was time for me to move or anything. So I, of course, was like, sure, yeah, have him call me. We can talk about it and see what's up. Fast forward a few weeks, and we're going to look at these condos. We set up an appointment with the realtor there. And I should probably let you know that there were basically 2 buildings of this 4-building unit that had like 100 units for sale. They had turned them from rentable units to now they were selling them as condos, and they had done some upgrades, completely remodeled them, that kind of thing. So I guess I should let that be known because there were plenty to choose from. So we have an appointment to go look at the ones that I might be interested in. Again, don't really think much of it. Like, is this actually going to happen? Is this my life? What's happening right now? I was just taking it step by step. I got my pre-approval from the bank and we were just going in just to see, because honestly, it sounds fun. If you're like me, you love going to open houses, you love just looking at what's out there. And that's all I was doing at this point. We go in, we see probably 10 or 11 possible units. Like I said, there's many available. The 10 to 11 are based on what I said I liked: a light space, plenty of windows, I want a view. At the time, I needed a place for my sauna, that kind of thing. Just simple guidelines. Saw 10 to 11. None of them were it. There was something off about all of them. And it even got to a point where it's like, man, I kind of really am excited now about living here. My ego got involved and said, well, maybe you could just take this one. You know, it was like a very awkward layout. The square footage, like, I have no idea how you would even put a couch in the square footage the way it was set up. The view was looking out basically onto someone else's balcony. It was not ideal, but my ego got involved. Like, just let this happen. You just need somewhere to go. This is good enough. It'll be fine. This is what you deserve. Ego talk, right? But luckily, I didn't listen. I was there back for a third time, and this all happened within a weekend. I was back for a third time on Sunday, showed my sister, I brought her to see what she thought of my options, and she says, I just don't think this is right. I don't think you found it. I think you should wait a little while and see what else comes available. And of course, I agreed with her. I got my ego to shut up for a second and agreed with her that this wasn't it, that this isn't right, and I should wait it out. Once the realtor heard that, then he says, oh, wait, I actually just remembered we have one more that just came available, just got done with the remodel a few days ago, and I'm now able to put it on the market. Do you want to see that one? Of course. Sure, I'll see that one. We walk in. It's the visualization. It's exactly what I had envisioned on my walks that entire time. Didn't even have to step more than 2 steps in to know that that was what I was picturing that entire time. The beautiful view, just the brightest blue sky with these gorgeous snow-capped mountain views, perfect unobstructed views of the Flatirons, just Boulder's perfect view. It was right there in front of me. The first thing you see when you walk into the door, the very first thing you see. Then you take a quick left, view-wise, turn your head to the left, and it's this beautiful, spacious, bright kitchen, just filled with natural light, all white cupboards. I mean, it was just the most gorgeous kitchen I had ever seen. Like, so much was so accurate that I got chills. And everyone with me could see that. The realtor, my sister, everyone was like, whoa, what is going on here? As you can guess next, it became my home. It was the perfect price. It was the perfect place. Everything about it. There was a space for my sauna. Everything that I wanted was in this space. And the whole process of getting into it was seamless. Like, it just was so easy. For everything happened so easily. The entire closing was so easy. I mean, within like 3 weeks, I was moving into that home. It just, everything flowed. And I think the biggest piece from that story, hopefully you saw those 3 steps to manifestation in that story. But what I want to remind you is that I had a desire. I had no objection to the desire. I just had it and I wanted it and I knew I wanted it. I had put it out into the universe. Even from that very first moment when I said, I want to live here someday, that was me putting the ball in motion. Or if you follow Abraham Hicks, that was me putting that desire into my vortex. And then from there, that desire got more and more specific. It was like I had to continue down my path. That whole 5-year path all had a purpose. Every single thing had its purpose. And it got me to this place where I had a very good idea of what I did want. Still didn't have any resistance to it. Just was really excited and really looking forward to that day that it became mine. And not only that, but during that time, I was feeling the positive emotions all the time, as much as I possibly could in all areas of my life. I was feeling so much gratitude and appreciation. I was so excited about the things that were coming to me. I was happy. I was joyful. I felt good. Even, amidst there being so much change, amidst me working to become healthier, there being a lot of negative times overall, of course, that had to happen. Even that negative, really dark time happened to get me now to where I am today. It happened for a reason. It had to happen that way, because how else would I have known to work on manifestation and visualizations and positive emotions and high vibe living? How would I have known to even do that if I didn't go through that process? And I had to get to that really dark place in order to learn that, in order to bring that into my life and then practice it in all areas of my life, feel all the feels, all the good stuff. And now it shows up in all of these different kind of avenues. It still is showing up in different avenues all the time. And this is just one example. So I think that's another really important thing to see, is how the path always has a purpose. Even if you can't see it, even if you just don't know what that could be, as long as you are trusting your intuition, following that inner guidance, following those synchronicities and clues and coincidences to lead to something, like following that, trusting that, and not turning your back to those nudges. It has a purpose. They all have a purpose, and you will find out what that purpose is once you get there. That's the hard part, is a lot of times we don't know until we are there why that happened that way. So I hope you can see all of that in this just little story I had for you. I think it's just fun to share more about how this has all come about in my own world and in my own life, and why I trust it and believe it so fully. I mean, really, sometimes it takes people having an experience like this to really buy in to what's happening in the world that we can't see. I guess you'll call it our non-physical world. What's happening to help us, live the life that we're supposed to live and live the purpose that we're supposed to live. I think sometimes we need to have this experience ourselves. And if you haven't, that's okay. But maybe, just maybe, you can use hearing my own experience, hearing other people's experiences with this, to give it a try yourself and to really, truly believe in the power of the universal intelligence. And with that, I will wrap it up for you today. Hope you enjoyed that. And regardless of where you're at with this right now, just please, please, please know that nothing is out of your reach. If you would have told me 10 years ago that I was going to be living where I am now, I would have told you were crazy. I would have told you there was no possible way. But I did the work. I did the work on myself, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, energetically. I did that work. I trusted, I believed, I visualized, I let go of resistance. I let go of the stories. And here I am. So just please, at minimum, know that nothing that you desire is out of reach for you. Absolutely nothing. The only thing that's keeping it out of reach is you getting in your own way. So at minimum, take that, see what you can do to unwrap that a little bit in your own life and with what you are working towards or not getting or struggling with, not believing in manifestation, not thinking it's working, not thinking it's for you. Just unwrap that a little bit more, untangle it a little bit more, see what could be weighing you down and go from there. All right, my friends, that will do it for today's episode. I really hope you all are hanging in there. I hope that you are finding peace in the present moment as much as possible right now through all of this uncertainty. I hope you're staying well. I hope you are staying away from the constant negativity that is out there in the world and taking it one step at a time, trusting, believing, enjoying as much as you can. I know it's hard to enjoy it when every single moment is spent at home. I know that's hard, but do what you can, make the best of it that you can. We all will have our moments, our good moments and our bad moments, and that's okay. Keep doing your thing. Keep listening to the Unstuck podcast. I promise to bring you more positive, inspiring material as we continue to go through this time of uncertainty together. If I could ask one favor of you, if you wouldn't mind sharing this episode or this podcast with someone who you think could use this positivity right now. I think there are a lot of people out there that could potentially use a little break from their mental chatter, could learn a little bit on how to manage that for themselves through this time. And I would love to be able to help them out. So if you know anybody who could use this, please text them, email them, send them a direct message on Instagram, put this out to your whole Instagram channel. Please, let's spread the message of peace, positivity, presence. We got this. Let's do it together. I thank you all so much for your continued support. It means the world to me, especially now. So until next time, take care.